Tennessee Volunteers versus Alabama Crimson Tide, the stage is set in Tuscaloosa for another chapter of the storied third Saturday in October rivalry as the number 1 11 Tennessee Volunteers, 5-1, 2-1 SEC, visit the number 6 Alabama Crimson Tide, 5-1, 3-0 SEC. Both programs enter this pivotal SEC matchup with nearly identical records but distinctly different narratives. Tennessee is chasing legitimacy as a top 10 contender under pressure to stay alive in the SEC East race, while Alabama is eyeing control of the West and a potential college football playoff berth. The stakes are enormous. Bragging rights, divisional momentum, and national positioning all converge on one field that has long served as a proving ground for title ambitions. At the heart of the battle lies a duel between two efficient quarterbacks leading high-powered offenses. Tennessee's Jay Aguilar has thrown for 1,680 yards, 14 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions, displaying a composed balance between vertical aggression and ball security. Across the field, Alabama's T. Simpson has been equally productive with 1,678 yards, 16 touchdowns, and just 1 pick, showcasing remarkable accuracy and decision-making. Both signal callers excel at exploiting mismatches, and Saturday's game could hinge on which quarterback stays poised under relentless pressure. Aguilar's quick reads and pocket composure will be tested against Alabama's fierce defensive front, while Simpson must navigate Tennessee's opportunistic linebacking core led by A. Carter, who's notched 57 tackles through 6 games. Offensively, both squads thrive on balance. Tennessee's D. Bishop anchors the ground game with 481 rushing yards and 5 scores, often setting up play-action strikes to C. Brazel III, who leads the Volunteers with 536 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. Brazel's deep ball chemistry with Aguilar has been crucial in keeping defenses honest. Alabama, meanwhile, counters with Jay Miller, a physical back who has ground out 267 yards, complemented by wide receiver G. Bernard's 412 yards and 5 touchdown catches. Bernard's ability to separate on intermediate routes gives Simpson a reliable outlet when facing pressure, and his experience in rivalry games adds an extra layer of composure to Alabama's offense. Recent form suggests a tightly matched contest. Tennessee has won 4 straight since an early season overtime thriller against Georgia, highlighted by victories over Mississippi State, 41-34, and Arkansas, 34-31. Alabama also rides momentum after routing Missouri 72-0 and Vanderbilt 30-14, with its lone loss coming narrowly against Georgia. Both teams appear to be peaking at the right time, though Alabama's defense has been the steadier unit, allowing fewer explosive plays over the past month. The Volunteers' defense, though physical, has shown occasional lapses in containment, an area Alabama's offense will look to exploit. In the SEC standings, Alabama sits tied atop the West with Ole Miss and Texas A&M at 3-0, while Tennessee trails Georgia and LSU in the East at 2-1. For Alabama, a win solidifies control of its division and strengthens playoff positioning. For Tennessee, an upset would reinsert them into the national conversation and potentially elevate them into the top 10. Depth could prove decisive late, as Alabama's defensive rotation, featuring L. Overton, 3 sacks, and linebacker J. Jefferson, 35 tackles, provides flexibility against Tennessee's tempo-driven offense. The X factors will be situational execution and defensive resilience. If Aguilar can stay upright and Brazel continues his knack for red zone efficiency, Tennessee can trade blows with the Tide. Yet, Alabama's home field advantage, balanced offense, and defensive front depth make it a formidable challenge. Expect early fireworks, but a tightening defensive battle as the night progresses. Analytics favor Alabama at roughly a 73% win probability, and the Crimson Tide's consistency under pressure suggests they'll hold serve in front of a roaring Bryant-Denny crowd. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Tennessee Volunteers winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. USC Trojans versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Two of college football's most storied programs renew their historic rivalry as the number. 20 USC Trojans travel to South Bend to face the number 13 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Both teams enter the mid-season showdown with momentum, high expectations, and post-season aspirations. USC stands at 5-1, riding a 3-game winning streak and climbing the Big Ten standings, while Notre Dame, 4-2, looks to defend home turf and strengthen its case for a major bowl appearance. The matchup presents a contrast of offensive firepower and defensive discipline, with each side boasting elite playmakers and a coaching staff determined to prove their program's national relevance. Quarterback play will take center stage in this battle. USC's Miller Mayava has been electric through the air, throwing for 1,852 yards and 13 touchdowns with only 2 interceptions on a 72% completion rate. His ability to stretch defenses vertically has transformed USC's offense into one of the most efficient in the Big Ten. On the other sideline, Notre Dame's C. Carr has thrown for 1,622 yards and 13 touchdowns of his own, adding poise and balance to an offense that thrives on sustained drives. Both signal callers operate behind solid offensive lines, but their contrasting styles, Mayava's improvisation versus Carr's structured command, could define the rhythm and outcome of this classic rivalry. The ground game adds another layer of intrigue. USC's W. Jordan has tallied 576 rushing yards and 5 scores on 88 carries, showcasing burst and balance between the tackles. Notre Dame counters with J. Love, whose 530 yards and 8 touchdowns make him one of the most efficient red zone runners in the country. The Trojans' run game has complemented Mayava's aerial attack perfectly, but Notre Dame's ability to control tempo through Love's physicality could tilt time of possession in the Irish's favor. In the receiving corps, USC's M. Lemon has emerged as a true difference-maker with 682 yards and 6 touchdowns, serving as Mayava's go-to threat on explosive plays. Notre Dame's Jay Faison, though less prolific statistically with 376 yards and 2 scores, has shown clutch reliability on third downs and in the red zone. Whichever wideout finds more separation against strong secondaries could dictate key momentum swings. USC relies on B. Shelby, 3.5 sacks, and E. Gentry, 41 tackles, for pressure, though they sometimes struggle against balanced attacks. Notre Dame's defense, led by B. Traore, 5.5 sacks, and D. Bowen, 31 tackles, aims to disrupt rhythm and challenge Mayava in the pocket. Both teams enter this rivalry in solid form. USC's recent victories over Michigan, 31-13, and Michigan State, 45-31, have reaffirmed its offensive potency, while Notre Dame rebounded from early season setbacks to defeat NC State 36-7. However, the Irish remain 0-4 against FBS Independence this year, an unusual blemish for a team accustomed to dominance. In the broader postseason picture, USC sits just behind Ohio State and Indiana in the Big Ten, eyeing a potential New Year's Six berth if it continues to win. Notre Dame, as an independent, needs a statement victory to re-enter playoff consideration, especially after close losses to Texas A&M and Boise State. The X factors loom large. For USC, Lemon's ability to exploit single coverage could swing the game. For Notre Dame, Love's power running and Traore's pressure up front may be decisive. Weather could also influence play calling in South Bend, favoring the team that controls the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame's balanced attack, home field edge, and defensive front give it a narrow advantage. Expect a tightly contested battle with late fireworks, but the Irish's discipline may prevail. Projected score will be Notre Dame 31, USC 27, with Notre Dame improving to 5-2 and reasserting itself as a playoff dark horse. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Notre Dame winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Florida Atlantic Owls versus South Florida Bulls. The Florida Atlantic Owls travel north to Tampa for a crucial American Conference clash against the number 19-ranked South Florida Bulls, a matchup that pits a program seeking consistency against one surging toward national recognition. Florida Atlantic enters at 3-3, 2-1 AAC, sitting in the middle of the conference race, while South Florida stands tall at 5-1, 2-0 AAC, eyeing a potential path to the league title. The contrast is clear. FAU's season has been defined by moments of offensive brilliance offset by defensive lapses, while USF's resurgence under a balanced attack has made them one of the most complete teams in the American. Both programs have everything to play for: FAU's chance to prove itself against a ranked opponent and USF's goal of maintaining its conference dominance. Quarterback play will take center stage in this matchup. For FAU, signal caller C. Veldkamp has thrown for 1,781 yards with 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, showing both arm talent and volatility. His chemistry with top wideout E. Messer, who has hauled in 506 yards on 53 receptions, will be vital if the Owls hope to challenge a disciplined Bulls defense. Meanwhile, USF's dual-threat quarterback B. Brown has been the steady hand guiding the Bulls' offense, throwing for 1,439 yards, 13 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions, while also leading the team in rushing with 364 yards and 5 scores. Brown's poise and mobility create mismatches that FAU's front seven must contain if they want to stay competitive deep into the second half. Offensively, FAU relies heavily on its aerial rhythm, though running back G. Sands's 301 yards on 52 carries add an element of balance when needed. The Owls will need sustained drives to keep Brown off the field and avoid turnovers that could swing momentum early. South Florida's offense, on the other hand, thrives on versatility. Wide receiver C. Nimrod, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, has emerged as a reliable target who complements Brown's ability to extend plays. With both a strong passing game and a productive ground attack, USF's offensive balance poses a major challenge for FAU's defense, which has struggled against high-powered attacks. Recent form tells a compelling story. FAU has won 2 straight, blowing out UAB 53-33 and edging Rice 27-21, showing improvement on both sides of the ball. Still, losses to Memphis and FIU earlier in the year exposed defensive inconsistency. South Florida comes in on a high after back-to-back wins over North Texas and Charlotte, averaging 55-plus points per game. Their only loss, 49-12 to Miami, highlighted offensive strength but defensive weaknesses against top teams. USF sits third in the AAC behind undefeated Navy and Memphis, with a path to the conference title. FAU, tied for 5th, could move up and boost bowl hopes with an upset, signaling progress in their rebuilding program. FAU's L. Hart Jr., 36 tackles, and C. Doggett Jr., 3 sacks, must disrupt Brown's rhythm. USF counters with M. Harris, 4 sacks, and J. Schuler, 54 tackles. Pressuring Veldkamp could control tempo, especially if FAU faces predictable passing situations. X factors are efficiency and discipline. If Veldkamp protects the ball and connects with Messer, FAU can keep pace. USF relies on Brown's dual-threat play, while special teams and turnover margin may decide this fast-swinging matchup. South Florida's balance, depth, and home field advantage make them clear favorites. Expect FAU to compete early, but Brown's composure and the Bulls' superior defensive speed should take over as the game wears on. The analytics heavily favor USF, around a 92% win probability, and that seems justified. Final call: South Florida 41, Florida Atlantic 27, as the Bulls keep their conference title hopes firmly alive in front of a home crowd at Raymond James Stadium. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is South Florida Bulls winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Pittsburgh Panthers versus Syracuse Orange. A pivotal ACC matchup unfolds in Syracuse as the Pittsburgh Panthers, 4-2, 2-1 ACC, travel north to face the Syracuse Orange, 3-3, 1-2 ACC, in a game that could redefine both teams' mid-season trajectories. Pittsburgh enters with momentum after back-to-back wins and a balanced offensive identity, while Syracuse looks to regroup following an uneven start marked by narrow finishes and inconsistency on both sides of the ball. With both programs fighting to stay in the thick of the ACC Atlantic race behind undefeated Georgia Tech and Virginia, Saturday's meeting offers a defining test of resilience and execution. Quarterback play will be the focal point in this one. Pitt's Eli Holstein has been efficient and steady, throwing for 1,058 yards with 5 touchdowns and just 1 interception. His poise has anchored the Panthers' recent surge, particularly in their comeback win over Florida State. On the opposite sideline, Syracuse's sophomore signal caller Shane Angeli has shown flashes of brilliance, leading the Orange with 1,317 passing yards and 10 touchdowns. However, his aggressiveness has led to turnovers, including 2 costly interceptions in their loss to SMU. If Angeli can protect the football against Pitt's opportunistic secondary, Syracuse's offense has the firepower to keep pace. On the ground, the contrast between the two backfields is clear. Pittsburgh relies on committee production, led by Darius Reed, who has rushed for 187 yards and 1 score on 36 carries. The Panthers often use the run to set up deep shots, trusting their defense to control tempo. Syracuse counters with Yamir Willis, whose 78 carries for 337 yards and 4 touchdowns have been the Orange's most consistent offensive element. Willis's physical style could challenge Pitt's front 7, particularly if Syracuse leans on ball control to limit Holstein's possessions. The receiving core on both teams will play a critical role. Pitt's R. Williams Jr. has emerged as a big play threat with 398 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns on 24 catches, giving Holstein a reliable deep option. Syracuse's Jaden Cook has been equally vital, leading his team with 390 yards and 2 touchdowns. The duel between these two wideouts, each capable of flipping field position in a single play, may determine who holds momentum deep into the second half. Both defenses feature impact players. Pitt linebacker Rasheem Biles leads with 52 tackles, while lineman Brenton Spires has 2 sacks. Syracuse's Gage Bryant III has 34 tackles, and James Tremble adds 2 sacks. For the Orange, maintaining discipline is key against Pitt's balanced, misdirection-heavy offense. Pittsburgh is in strong form, winning 4 of its last 5, including a 48-7 rout of Boston College and a 34-31 win over Florida State. Syracuse has lost 2 straight, including an OT 38-38 tie with Duke, and while stronger at home, their defense struggles late. In the ACC, both teams sit near the middle, but stakes are high. A Pitt win moves them toward the top, while a Syracuse upset evens their record and energizes a rebuilding fan base. The X factors in this matchup could be turnovers and red zone execution. If Holstein continues his low-mistake rhythm and Pitt's defense limits explosive plays, the Panthers' efficiency should prevail. Conversely, if Angeli and Willis establish early rhythm and Syracuse controls possession, the Orange can turn this into a grinded-out contest inside the dome. Pittsburgh's balance and recent form give it the edge, though Syracuse's home field energy may keep the contest tight into the fourth quarter. Expect a competitive physical matchup, but the Panthers' discipline and quarterback stability should carry the day. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Pittsburgh Panthers winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Missouri Tigers versus Auburn Tigers. The SEC spotlight shines on Auburn, Alabama as the number. 16 Missouri Tigers visit the Auburn Tigers in a high-stakes conference clash between two teams moving in opposite directions. Missouri enters at 5-1, 1-1 SEC, determined to rebound after a narrow 27-24 loss to Alabama, while Auburn sits at 3-3, 0-3 SEC, and desperate to stop a three-game skid against top-tier competition. With Missouri still in the thick of the SEC title chase and Auburn fighting to stay relevant in conference play, Saturday's meeting at Jordan-Hare Stadium carries major implications for both teams' seasons. Missouri's resurgence this season has been fueled by a balanced offense and opportunistic defense. Quarterback Drew Pribula has quietly been one of the conference's most efficient passers, compiling 1,365 yards and 13 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions on 62% passing. His rapport with wideout Kobe Coleman Jr., who leads the team with 388 receiving yards and a score, has helped open lanes for star running back Anthony Hardy. Hardy, a bruising yet explosive runner, has amassed 782 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns through 6 games, giving Missouri a reliable ground game that has kept defenses guessing. Auburn, meanwhile, relies on the steady arm of quarterback John Arnold, who has thrown for 983 yards and 5 touchdowns, but has faced relentless pressure behind an inconsistent offensive line. The Tigers' best offensive weapon has been running back Jordan Cobb, who's produced 453 yards and 4 touchdowns. Though much of Auburn's success hinges on how well it can sustain drives against a disciplined Missouri front. Defensively, Missouri's edge rush duo, led by Darius Wilson II, 5.5 sacks, has terrorized opposing backfields, a concern for an Auburn unit that struggled to protect Arnold against Georgia and Texas A&M. Auburn's defensive strength lies in linebacker Xavier Atkins, whose 37 tackles lead the team, and defensive end Khalil Crawford, who has recorded 4 sacks. Yet, Auburn's secondary has been vulnerable to deep passes, something Pribula and Coleman could exploit early to stretch the field. Recent form heavily favors Missouri. Before their loss to Alabama, the Tigers reeled off 4 straight wins, including dominant performances against UMass and Louisville. Auburn, conversely, has faltered since a 2-0 start, falling to Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia in succession. The offensive inconsistency has been glaring, with the Tigers averaging just 15.6 points in their last 3 games against SEC opponents. In the SEC standings, Missouri sits tied for 3rd in the conference's crowded middle tier, just a game behind the division leaders. A win would keep their New Year's Six Bowl hopes alive, while Auburn faces the risk of sliding toward the bottom of the conference alongside Kentucky and Mississippi State. For head coach Hugh Freeze's squad, this matchup may serve as a defining point in their 2025 campaign, a chance to rediscover rhythm and confidence before the schedule intensifies further. The X factors are clear. For Missouri, it's the ability of Hardy to establish early rushing dominance and open up play-action opportunities for Pribula. For Auburn, it's whether Arnold can connect consistently with receiver Caleb Coleman, who has 305 yards and 2 touchdowns, to keep Missouri's pass rush honest. Turnovers could also prove decisive. Missouri thrives when forcing short field situations, while Auburn has struggled to finish drives when starting deep in its own territory. Expect Missouri's balanced offense and defensive discipline to set the tone against an Auburn team still searching for consistency. While the Jordan-Hare crowd may keep the game tight early, Missouri's efficiency and experience should prevail down the stretch. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Missouri Tigers winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.